Hi, my name is Tushar Kumar. I'm a financial advisor with Twin Peaks Wealth Advisors, and I specialize in working with Apple employees. And I'm here today to talk about the Apple Deferred Compensation Plan. The Apple Deferred Compensation Plan, or DCP, is a special account available to select Apple employees, and it allows them to defer a percentage of their income on a pre-tax basis away for a future date. Specifically, the Apple DCP allows you to defer a portion of your base salary, commissions, or bonuses into the plan. Now, once your dollars are in that plan, you do have an investment lineup very similar to the funds available in your 401k plan available to you to invest in. And as you make an election to defer money into the plan, we do also have to select a future distribution date on which you would receive those dollars. So let's get into the weeds about how it works and what you need to do to enroll. As I mentioned, the Apple DCP is a plan that's available to select employees. Your seniority will determine your eligibility on whether you can contribute to the plan. And that seniority does vary by org, so check with your org to see if you are eligible to enroll in the plan. If you are able to do so, you will typically receive an enrollment email in the second half of August. It often comes around like the 22nd of the month or around there. And enrollment typically completes around the middle of September, often 15th or 16th of the month, but that does also vary year to year. So just double check with HR on when your enrollment period is. You can actually defer a lot of money into the plan. It allows you to defer up to 50% of your base salary, 50% of commissions, and up to 90% of the quarterly bonuses. Now, how do I see people actually use this in the first place? Let's say you're a director at Apple and you're on the quarterly bonus structure that Apple employs. Oftentimes, I see people in those situations defer either none or very little from their base salaries into the plan, because people are typically using their base salary to help float their monthly expenses, to max out their 401k plans, ESPP, as well as other personal obligations. So oftentimes I see my director clients at Apple deferring a higher percentage of their quarterly bonuses, since they're not as reliant on that income to make ends meet month to month. That said, there's no right or wrong on how you go about funding this. It's really unique to your circumstances. You can also choose when to distribute that income in the future. So you can choose to take those dollars out as a single lump sum payment after 2 years. You can choose to take it in annual installments over a 2 to 10 year period, or those dollars can also be paid out to you upon separation from Apple. And as I mentioned earlier, you do have a list of investment options within that DCP that are very similar to the Apple 401k plan, and you can choose how to invest those dollars based on what options are available to you within that plan. Now, as you can tell from the capacity of the account that I touched on earlier, there's a lot of capacity to put money into it, and obviously the pre-tax savings can be meaningful. But that said, let's talk about some of the considerations before you enroll in the DCP. So one major consideration is creditor risk. When you're putting your own money into the DCP, those dollars do become an unsecured promise by the employer. So if your employer were to go bankrupt, you could lose some or all of your dollars in the DCP. Additionally, those plans are not portable. So if you leave your employer, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to roll that over into another DCP or a retirement account. Those dollars are typically going to be paid out to you, and it would trigger income taxes upon payment. The investment options are also fairly limited. There's roughly 20 or so investment options within the Apple DCP, which is considerably less than the options available to you if you were to simply invest those dollars in a brokerage account. Another risk is deferred tax risk. When you put money into these plans, you are basically saying that you're okay with paying income taxes on these dollars at a future date. Now, on that future date, if you yourself are at a higher income tax bracket, or if the tax brackets in the United States have simply moved upwards over that time, then you might actually end up paying more in taxes in the future than you would if you if you were to simply take that income today. Now, all of that said, I am a big fan of the DCP. I do think it can make a lot of sense based on your individualized circumstances, but I think it can make sense if you've already maxed out your qualified plans, meaning you're doing the 401k, maybe you're doing the mega backdoor Roth. If you're looking for additional pre-tax places to put money even after you've maxed out the qualified plans, then this could make sense. Or if you're fairly confident you're going to be in a lower future tax bracket than you are today, then it certainly can make sense to defer money into the DCP. And because creditor risk is one of the concerns or risks associated with these plans, I do think it makes sense to more seriously consider these if you work for an employer that is financially very stable. So if you're interested in talking a little bit more about the Apple DCP and whether it makes sense for you, please reach out to me and let's have a conversation. Thank you.